CNN, Beirut.
The IDF says it's targeting Hezbollah infrastructure and that Hezbollah is using civilians as human shields. The IDF also says it will look into the incident CNN documented. With an estimated 1,000 dead in Lebanon and 1 million displaced, I'm joined by Sean Carroll, President and CEO of American Near East Refugee Aid, Anera, which is also a US-based nonprofit providing aid and long-term support in parts of the Middle East. I appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Lynda.
I'm not sure if you just heard the reports we just aired from our correspondents in Lebanon, both the interview with the Prime Minister of Lebanon calling on the US President to end this conflict, and also our report from Isabelle showing the devastation and the families impacted by this war, a war they say they didn't ask for. Tell us what your teams in the region are seeing right now.
As humanitarians, as humans, we all hope that these negotiations are successful and the war in Lebanon, the war in the region ends soon. Too many women and children are dying. Too many mothers and fathers and children are grieving. The wars have to end. The scale of the displacement and the destruction in Lebanon is hard to comprehend. For comparison, 1 in 5 people in Lebanon are now displaced, and nearly 20% of the land is under evacuation orders. And the equivalent in the United States would be the entire southeastern portion of the United States being an evacuation zone, east of the Mississippi, south of the old Mason-Dixon line, and 60 million people would be the equivalent. That's the populations of Florida and Georgia and the Carolinas and Virginia. So the scale is massive, something that we didn't see in the last escalation of this war, and it's gotten much worse, and the needs are just enormous.
Yeah, I mean, the trauma that these children are experiencing is just incredible. And many of these families in Lebanon have fled multiple times now, right, due to the waves of conflict, much like many people in Gaza over the last few years. What are those long-term consequences?
Well, also very hard to measure, but the trauma, the time away from formal education, the long-term need for humanitarian assistance, food and hygiene and water and medicines. And we're seeing an acute spike in Lebanon for needs along all of those lines, and particularly medicines. There's shortage of some key critical medicines. Anera is trying to get more in. Now, fortunately, the airport and the seaport are open, and we're working with our medical donation partners to get more medicines in, but we're distributing mattresses and sleeping bags and winter clothes and water and hygiene kits and ready-to-eat and meeting the needs of tens of thousands, but with 1 million displaced and most of those needing some kind of humanitarian assistance, we have to do more, and others do as well.
Yeah, it's hard to even get your head around 1 million people displaced in one country right now. Just talk to us about how you deliver that aid effectively in a timely manner and how you're working with other aid groups to make it operational.
Yeah, thank you. 35 of Anera's staff in Lebanon are displaced from their homes, and they're continuing to work. And we're working with local partners, measuring whether we can access areas or not, work with local partners, staff from other regions that are more safe than the southern region and the Bekaa Valley are stepping up to help. We're meeting people as they flee. We've distributed aid to people in their cars as they leave, and some people are living in their cars. And as your report said, some people have chosen not to leave, others left and then found inflated rent prices meant they couldn't find anywhere safe to stay, and so they're going back. There are internally displaced people in over 100 collective shelters, and a big question as to whether there's enough shelter and for how long they'll be able to stay there. So the needs are just huge, and the fear is constant. And while there are areas that are more dangerous than others, Lebanese are feeling right now that no area is completely safe, as you have bombs going off in different parts of Beirut and different parts of the country.
And France and other partners have increased humanitarian assistance, but of course the demand continues to outstrip supply. What kind of support is most needed? Is it funding? Is it supplies? Is it diplomatic efforts? What is most critical?
Well, the diplomatic efforts to end the war certainly most critical, but in terms of aid, it's funding. It's almost always funding. We can procure a lot locally if we have the funding, but we also need medicines to be donated through our medical donations partners and coming in. And unfortunately, not all of the million displaced, but a large number of them will continue to need food aid and hygiene and water. And so we're looking at we've been distributing bottled water. We're looking at doing tankered water to meet growing needs. It's all needed, but funding means that we can then ensure that what is most needed and what we can deliver effectively, we deliver.
Sean Carroll of Anera, we appreciate the work you and your team are doing. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, and let me wish an Eid al-Fitr Mubarak to all of those celebrating the end of Ramadan. Thank you.
Thank you.